Jack sat at the small wooden table in the Alien Market Cafe, sipping a cup of something that looked like green tea but tasted faintly of honey and spice. He had been living on this alien world Tashara for 2 months now, working as a mechanic. For the local trading ships, most days were calm, until today, across the market, a figure was watching him. She was tall and slim, with deep crimson skin that glowed under the twin suns. Her hair was long and silver white, catching the light like strands of silk. Her eyes large, golden, and unblinking followed his every move. She wore a simple, dark tunic, but her presence stood out among the crowd like fire in the snow. Her name was Zara, and she had heard strange things about the human male who fixed ships and spoke politely to everyone. She had never met a human before. Her people had only heard stories about how dangerous humans could be during their mating season. Zara finally stepped forward, moving with graceful, deliberate steps. Jack noticed her as she came closer. His first thought was that she was one of the most beautiful beings he had seen on this planet. His second thought was, why was she looking at him like she was about to interrogate him? She stopped at his table, staring at him without a smile. "Human male," she said in a calm but curious tone. "Is it true that you do not eat your females after mating?" Jack almost choked on his drink. He blinked, then laughed, thinking it was a joke. "I'm sorry, what?" he asked, still grinning. Zara tilted her head, her golden eyes narrowing. "Do you, or do you not, consume the flesh of your mate once the breeding is complete?" she asked, as if she were discussing the weather. Jack leaned back, his smile fading into disbelief. "No. We don't do that. Humans don't eat other humans." Her eyes widened in pure shock. "You mean you let them live?" "Yes," Jack said. "Of course we let them live. Why would we?" But Zara cut him off. "That is horrifying," she whispered, almost as if she had heard something unnatural. "On my world, it is the only way. The female proves her strength by surviving the season. The male proves his worth by ending her life." Jack stared at her, trying to decide if she was being serious. Her face told him she wasn't joking. Her people really lived this way. "That's insane," Jack said slowly. "We fall in love, we marry, we raise children together." Zara shook her head. "You keep them alive, even after breeding. How do you prevent weakness in your species?" Jack laughed again, but this time it was nervous laughter. "We don't see love as weakness," he replied. The conversation was drawing the attention of nearby market-goers. A few aliens slowed their pace to listen, whispering to each other about the humans' strange ways. Zara's voice carried an edge of both disbelief and fascination. She pulled out the empty chair across from him and sat down, her gaze never leaving his. "I have heard," she said softly, "that humans hide their true customs, that they tell outsiders false stories. But I want the truth from you. Tell me, have you never once devoured a mate?" Jack leaned forward, lowering his voice. "No, Zara, never, not once." She frowned deeply. "Then how does a female know she has chosen the strongest male? How do you prove you are not prey?" Jack smirked. "We prove it by protecting her, not by killing her." Her expression shifted slightly, as if the words didn't fit inside her mind. "Protect her," she repeated slowly, tasting the foreign idea. "Yes," Jack said. "In my world, the strongest man is the one who keeps his family safe, not the one who destroys it." Zara leaned back in her chair, silent for a long moment. She looked at him like she was staring at some rare, dangerous animal she couldn't fully understand. "Your kind is strange," she murmured. "Strange, but maybe interesting." Jack grinned. "I'll take that as a compliment." But Zara's eyes still held a question, one she didn't voice yet. She couldn't help but think, humans really spared their mates. Then maybe she had been wrong about them all along. But traditions ran deep in her blood. And the idea of a male not proving his worth in the old way felt like a dangerous weakness. As the wind shifted through the open market, carrying the smell of roasted spices and metal from the nearby ship docks, Jack had no idea that this strange question from Zara was just the beginning. Somewhere in the crowd, a pair of shadowed eyes watched the two of them closely. Whoever it was, they didn't like the idea of an alien girl questioning her traditions because of a human. And before the day ended, Jack was going to find out exactly how dangerous that question really was. The market had begun to empty, but Zara remained at Jack's table. Her golden eyes kept searching his face as if she expected him to suddenly change his answer. "You still don't believe me, do you?" Jack asked, sipping the last of his strange green tea. Zara's head tilted slightly. "I believe you are saying what you think is true," she replied carefully. "But I am not certain you are telling me everything humans are skilled in deception." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Why would I lie about something like that?" She leaned forward, lowering her voice as if sharing a dangerous secret. "Because I have seen your kind in the recordings. I have seen humans fight. I have seen the way you hunt, the way you consume meat. You tear apart animals with your teeth and knives. How is it so different from tearing apart a mate?" Jack stared at her, stunned. "It's completely different. Animals are food, people are people." Zara's brow furrowed, as if the concept confused her. "In my culture, after mating, the female is no longer just people. She becomes the final challenge. The last hunt." Jack shook his head slowly. "That's brutal. How can you live like that?" Zara's voice was calm, but her words were sharp. "It is how we know our strongest survive. Weak males do not pass on their weakness. Weak females are not allowed to raise the young. It is balance." Jack felt a shiver run through him, not of fear, but of realizing how deep these customs were for her. He could see in her eyes that she wasn't being cruel. She was simply raised to believe this was normal, I guess. Jack said slowly, "That in my world, balance means something else. We survive by helping each other, not killing each other." Zara's lips pressed together in thought. Her eyes flicked to a pair of alien merchants passing by, who glanced at her and smirked. One whispered something in their own language. Zara's jaw tightened. "What was that about?" Jack asked, noticing her reaction. "They think I am wasting time talking to you." She said simply, "They think you are soft, that your ways are laughable, that you would never survive one mating season among us." Jack gave a small grin. Maybe I'd surprise them. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Or maybe they would surprise you. The tension between them was thick, now not anger, but a mix of curiosity and challenge. Zara wanted to understand him. Yet part of her still clung to the belief that her way was superior. Finally, she stood up. "Come," she said, "if you wish to prove you speak the truth, you must see how my people live." Jack hesitated. "Where are we going?" "To the Hall of Strength," Zara replied. "Tonight is the choosing ceremony. You will see how males prove themselves as they walked through the narrow streets." The architecture around them changed. The wooden stalls of the market gave way to tall, curved buildings of dark stone and bronze. The air smelled faintly of burning incense and hot metal. Jack noticed more aliens wearing armor-like clothing, their skin painted with streaks of bright colors. Their eyes followed him with open suspicion. Some even muttered under their breath. Zara led him to a massive structure lit by glowing orbs. The Hall of Strength stood like a monument to ancient power. Its doors were tall enough for a giant, and carved into them were images of battles, males and females locked in combat, some ending in an embrace, others in something far darker. Inside, the hall buzzed with energy. Dozens of aliens filled the space, their voices echoing off the stone walls. At the center was an arena marked by deep grooves in the floor. As if claws and weapons had scored it over generations, Jack stopped, taking it all in. This is where you fight your mates. Zara gave a small nod. It is where we see who is worthy to breed and who is strong enough to finish what they start. Before Jack could reply, a loud horn echoed through the hall. A tall male with broad shoulders and deep blue skin stepped into the arena. His eyes scanned the crowd and locked onto Zara, his mouth curled into a smirk. "Zara," he called, his voice carrying easily. "You have brought the human, the one who claims to spare his mates," the crowd murmured. A ripple of interest running through them. Zara straightened her posture. "Yes, this is Jack," she said clearly, "and he speaks the truth." The blue-skinned male's eyes narrowed. "Then let him prove it. Let him face the trial." The crowd roared in approval. Jack turned to Zara. "Trial? What trial?" She looked at him with a mix of warning and intrigue. "The trial of the mate's end." She said softly, "You will not be harmed. If you win." Jack swallowed hard, realizing that whatever was about to happen, it would not be simple. And somewhere deep inside, Zara wondered if this human was about to change everything she believed about strength. The crowd pressed closer to the stone arena, their voices rising like a storm. The scent of burning oil and hot metal filled the air, torches flickering against the walls. Jack stood at the edge, feeling the weight of dozens of alien eyes on him. Zara stood beside him, her expression unreadable. "You do not have to do this," she said quietly, though her tone suggested she already knew his answer. Jack smirked slightly. "If I walk away now, your people will just think I'm weak." Her golden eyes studied him. Strength is not measured in surviving. It is measured in ending. Jack shook his head. "For humans, strength is measured in protecting." Before Zara could reply, the deep voice of the blue-skinned male echoed again. "The human will face the trial of the mate's end," he declared. "He will defend his chosen mate from the hunters without ending her himself." The crowd erupted in laughter and shouts. "Impossible." Someone yelled, "No mate survives unless claimed or ended." Jack frowned. "Chosen mate? What does that mean?" Zara glanced toward the far side of the arena, and Jack followed her gaze. A figure stepped forward, a young female of Zara's kind, draped in ceremonial cloth. Her crimson skin shimmered under the torchlight, and fear was written in her wide, trembling eyes. "She is your symbolic mate," Zara explained. "If she is taken or harmed, you fail. If you harm her yourself, you become one of us." Jack's jaw tightened. "So I just have to keep her safe?" "Yes," Zara said, "but the hunters will not hold back." The horns sounded again, and 3 figures leaped into the arena from different entrances. They were tall, muscular, their skin painted in tribal markings. They carried curved blades and short spears, moving with the speed of predators. The young female froze, her breath quick and shallow. Jack stepped in front of her, his eyes locked on the hunters, his heart pounded. But his mind was already working. No weapons, no armor, just his speed and strategy. The first hunter lunged with a spear. Jack sidestepped, grabbing the wooden shaft and twisting it sharply. The hunter lost balance, stumbling forward. Jack shoved him away without striking a killing blow. Gasps came from the crowd. It was clear they expected Jack to slash or stab, not push away. The second hunter came from the left, blade flashing. Jack ducked low, sweeping his leg out to knock the attacker off his feet. The hunter hit the ground hard, snarling. The third hunter was more cautious, circling, eyes flicking between Jack and the trembling female behind him. Zara's gaze never left Jack. Every move he made went against her people's understanding of battle. He avoided killing, avoided cruelty, but still managed to overpower. The crowd's laughter began to shift into murmurs. Us. Some whispered that maybe the human had strange tactics. Others hissed that he was dishonoring the trial. The first hunter recovered and charged again, this time aiming past Jack toward the female. Jack moved fast, catching the hunter's arm and twisting it behind his back before shoving him toward the wall. "You're not touching her," Jack growled. The young female's eyes widened. She had never seen a male fight like this without trying to destroy the mate. Zara's hands tightened at her sides. Something in her chest felt unfamiliar, almost like pride. The hunters regrouped, circling him. Their attacks came faster, now sloshes. Feints, sudden charges. Jack's arms burned from deflecting blows. His breath coming faster, but he didn't give ground. The crowd was on edge now, no longer sure if they wanted to see the human fail or witness something new. One hunter faked a retreat, then suddenly sprinted toward the female. Jack reacted without thinking, grabbing a handful of sand from the arena floor and throwing it into the hunter's eyes. The alien roared in pain, stumbling back. A shocked hush fell over the hall. Even Zara's lips parted slightly. Such a simple, clever move. Jack stood firm, chest heaving. "No one touches her," he said again, loud enough for everyone to hear. The horn sounded once more, signaling the end of the trial. The hunter stepped back reluctantly, glaring but respecting the signal. The young female clung to Jack's arm, trembling but alive. The blue-skinned male stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "You have defended your mate," he said slowly, "without ending her, without claiming her. Yet she lives." The crowd erupted, not with laughter this time, but with a strange mix of cheers and shouts. Half seemed impressed, the other half outraged. Zara moved to stand beside Jack, her voice low but carrying a note of something he hadn't heard before. "You have done what no male here would dare. You protected without conquering." Jack gave a small grin. "Told you. Humans don't eat their mates." But Zara didn't smile. Her eyes darted to the blue-skinned male, who now whispered to the other elders. Their expressions were dark. "They will not let this go," she murmured. "You've challenged their way of life, Jack. And that makes you dangerous and deep inside." Zara wasn't sure if that danger scared her or fascinated her even more. The arena was still buzzing with noise long after the horn had fallen silent. The hunters had left, muttering to themselves. But the crowd remained, torn between outrage and awe. Jack stood in the center, sweat running down his neck, his breathing steady now beside him. The young crimson-skinned female he had protected clung to her ceremonial cloth, staring at him like he was some impossible creature from a legend. Zara stepped closer, her golden eyes locked on him. "You should leave now," she whispered. Before they decide the trial was not enough, Jack gave a small grin. "I thought I passed." "You did," she replied, "but you passed in a way that makes the elders uneasy. You didn't win by our rules. You changed them." Before Jack could respond, the deep, commanding voice of the blue-skinned Maelder Vara cut through. The noise, silence. The crowd fell still. Every pair of alien eyes turned toward the elder. His heavy armor gleamed under the torchlight, and the ceremonial blade on his back seemed more a symbol of power than a weapon. "This human," Varric began, "has completed the trial of the mate's end. Yet he has done so without ending the life of his mate. This is not strength, it is weakness, dressed in cunning." A ripple of agreement moved through part of the crowd, but others stayed silent. Zara stepped forward before Jack could say a word. "No," she said firmly, "it is not weakness to protect. It is strength without cruelty. It is courage without fear." The elder's gaze turned sharp. "And you, Zara, speak in defense of this outsider. Have you forgotten our ways?" "I have not forgotten," she replied. "I have seen them tested, and I have seen another way succeed." Whispers spread through the hall like sparks in dry grass. Zara's defiance was not communist. May not in front of the elders. Varric's eyes narrowed further. Then perhaps you will stand beside him in the next trial. Let us see if your human's way can protect you as well. Jack frowned. Another trial. I thought this one was enough. It will never be enough, Varric said coldly. Until you prove beyond doubt that your way is stronger than ours, and if you fail, both of you will face the fate of the defeated. Zara turned to Jack. Her voice low. They mean execution. Jack's smirk faded. Great. So now we're a team. The elder raised his hand to quiet the growing noise. 3 nights from now, the Festival of Blades begins. You will face the hunt both of you against 5 warriors of my choosing. If you survive until sunrise, you live. If not, you join the soil. The crowd erupted again, some cheering for the challenge, others whispering doubts. Jack glanced at Zara. Sounds fair, he said sarcastically. 5 against 2. She didn't smile. They will not hold back, Jack. This will not be sport, it will be war. As the crowd began to disperse, the young female he had defended stepped forward and bowed her head. I owe you my life, she said softly. I have never seen a male fight for a mate and not try to claim her. You have changed something in me. Jack gave a small nod. Just stay safe. She looked at Zara for a moment, then hurried away, disappearing into the mass of people. The walk back through the streets was tense. The twin moons had risen, casting pale light over the bronze buildings. The air was cooler now. But Jack still felt the heat of the stairs following them. They'll come for us before the hunt, Zara said quietly as they turned down a narrow path. The elders won't risk letting you stand before the whole city, and show their way is not the only way. Jack glanced sideways at her. You sound like you're on my side now. She hesitated. I am on the side of truth, and I have seen your truth in action. He smiled faintly. Guess we'd better make sure it works again in 3 nights. When they reached the door to her home around clay-walled structure with hanging lanterns, she stopped and looked at him seriously. Jack, my people are not ready to change. Some will see you as a threat to everything they know. I need to know why fight for a way of life that isn't even yours. Jack leaned against the doorway, his tone steady, because it's the right thing to do. And maybe, if you see it, someone else will too, for the first time since they met. Zara allowed a small, genuine smile. You're stubborn, she said. Like a mountain that refuses to move, and you're curious, Jack replied. Like a cat that can't stop poking at something dangerous. Her smile faded into thoughtfulness. Then we will see if curiosity and stubbornness can survive the hunt above them. The moons slid higher into the sky, and in the distance, the faint sound of a war horn echoed a reminder that the Festival of Blades was already being prepared. Somewhere in the shadows of the city, Elder Varric stood with 3 other elders. Their voices low. We cannot allow the human to stand before the people again, Varric said. If he survives, our way will crumble. In 3 nights, Jack and Zara would face more than just warriors. They would face an entire belief system sharpened into steel. 3 nights passed faster than Jack had expected. From the moment he woke that morning, he could hear the city alive with sound drums beating in steady rhythm. The deep horns calling people toward the central arena. The Festival of Blades had begun. Zara's home was quiet, but the air inside carried tension like a storm waiting to break. She was already dressed in light battle leathers, flexible, dark, and fitted to her form. Gold paint streaked her arms in sharp lines, the markings of her clan. Jack stood at the small water basin, splashing his face. He had been given only a simple chest guard and bracers. No helmet, no real weapon. They really aren't making this easy, he muttered. They are not meant to, Zara replied from across the room, tightening the straps on her arm guards. The hunt is a display of dominance, not a fair match. Jack smirked faintly. Then, I guess we'll just have to cheat a little. She gave him a sideways look. cheating is also part of the hunt. If you can survive it, as they stepped out into the street. The crowd was already gathering. The twin suns were high. The air dry and sharp with the smell of heated stone. The path to the arena was lined with banners bearing the claw symbol. A Varric's clan, the closer they got, the louder the chanting became. Inside the arena, the stands were full. Layered high with spectators, some wore elaborate masks, others waved ceremonial blades in the air. All eyes followed Jack and Zara as they entered. At the far end stood their opponents, 5 towering warriors, each from a different clan. Their armor gleamed with polished bronze, their weapons curved and deadly. They didn't look like a team, they looked like predators brought together for the kill. Elder Varric stepped into the center, his voice carrying over the roar of the crowd. Today, we witness the human and the one who defends him, they claim. Strength without the kill, protection without the end. Let the hunt decide their fate. The horn sounded long, deep, and final. The 5 warriors began to spread out, moving in a half circle around Jack and Zara. Zara whispered quickly, "Stay close to me. Never let them split us." Jack nodded. Keeping his eyes on the one approaching with a heavy axe, the warrior swung in a brutal arc, but Jack sidestepped. The blade slamming into the stone floor, sparks flew. Jack kicked the warrior's leg, forcing him to stumble back from the other side. A spear shot toward Zara. She caught the shaft just below the head and twisted, yanking the warrior off balance before driving her elbow into his chest. The crowd roared, to coming from the right. Jack shouted, catching movement from the corner of his eye. Zara spun, her short blade flashing as she deflected a strike. Jack grabbed the arm of the second attacker and pulled him forward, using his momentum to send him crashing into the first. The arena floor was chaos nascent and dust kicking up with every movement. The sound of metal on metal ringing in the air. One warrior broke away, circling toward their flank. Clearly aiming to get behind them, Jack noticed instantly. Switch. He barked, and they traded places without hesitation. Zara's golden eyes flashed with focus. "You're starting to think like one of us," she said between breaths. Jack grinned despite the fight. "Nah, I'm thinking like a human who doesn't want to die." The axe-wielding warrior recovered and came at Jack again. This time, faster. Jack ducked low, grabbed a fistful of arena sand, and flung it into the warrior's face. The alien roared in rage, blinded. The crowd gasped, some in shock, some in appreciation of the clever move. Zara used the moment to kick another warrior hard in the ribs, sending him sprawling. But the 5th warrior, the fastest of them all, suddenly charged straight for Jack. His curved blade caught the sunlight, flashing toward Jack's neck. At the last moment, Zara intercepted, her blade meeting his in a sharp ring of steel. For a heartbeat, they were locked, eyes burning into each other's. Then she shoved him back toward Jack, who drove his shoulder into the warrior's chest, knocking him down hard. The horn sounded again, not the end, but the signal for the second phase from gates on either side of the arena. 2 massive alien hounds burst forth, their bodies covered in scaled hide, their eyes glowing yellow, saliva dripping from their jaws. Jack's eyes widened. "Nobody told me about the dogs." "They're not dogs," Zara said sharply. "They're blood trackers. They won't stop until one of us falls." The hounds hit the arena floor running, one straight for Zara, the other for Jack. Jack barely rolled aside as the creature's teeth snapped where his leg had been. He grabbed a broken spear from the ground and jabbed at the beast, not to kill, but to drive it back. Zara's fight was more precise. She sidestepped the hound, slicing its flank just deep enough to make it hesitate without taking its life. The creature circled, snarling. The 5 warriors regrouped now, forming a wall behind. The hounds, the message was clear. They weren't going to rush in. They were going to let the beasts wear Jack and Zara down first. Sweat dripped into Jack's eyes. His arms aching, Zara moved closer, their backs almost touching. "They're changing tactics," she said. "We have to outlast them until the sun touches the horizon." Jack took a breath. "Then we make them come to us." When the hounds lunged again, they moved together, twisting aside so the creatures slammed into the legs of two waiting warriors. The crowd roared at the sudden chaos. The hunters stumbled, and Jack and Zara pushed forward. The sun was still high, but already, the fight was turning into something the crowd had never seen before, and high in the elder's stand, Varric watched with narrowed eyes, his hand tightening on the armrest. If they survived until sunset, they wouldn't just win. They might start a fire in the hearts of everyone watching. The air in the arena was thick with heat and dust. Jack's chest rose and fell rapidly, his muscles aching from constant movement. Zara stood just a step away, her back brushing against his. Whenever they shifted, it wasn't just fighting now, it was survival in its rawest form. The two massive hounds still circled them, snarling low behind them. Alvorius watched like predators waiting for prey to weaken. The sun hung high, but Jack knew the hours ahead would feel like a lifetime. One hound lunged again, going low for Jack's leg. He spun sideways, using the broken spear to push its head away. Zara seized the moment to rush one of the warriors, who had stepped forward. Her blade clashed with his, sparks flying as she deflected his powerful strike. The crowd was louder now, no longer just mocking or jeering. They were watching closely, leaning forward, murmuring at every clever move. Some of the younger aliens whispered in disbelief. This wasn't how the hunt was supposed to go. Jack ducked as a curved blade came for his head. He stepped in close, shoulder-checking the warrior and knocking him off balance. Zara called over her shoulder, "Don't let them corner you. Keep moving." "I'm trying," Jack replied between breaths. "Not bad for someone who doesn't end his mate," she shot back, even in the middle of the chaos. He caught the trace of humor in her voice. The hounds suddenly changed tactics. They split apart, one going for Jack, the other darting toward Zara. But instead of attacking directly, they herded them toward opposite ends of the arena. The warriors saw the opportunity and moved in to block their path back to each other. For the first time, Jack felt a surge of panic. They were trying to break the bond he and Zara had been building during the fight. He glanced across the arena and caught her gaze. Even at this distance, her golden eyes told him, "Don't stop. Don't fall." The warrior in front of Jack charged, axe raised. Jack dropped to one knee and rolled aside, the axe slamming into the ground. Using the moment, Jack grabbed the warrior's wrist, twisted it sharply, and sent the axe skidding across the arena floor. The crowd gasped. Disarming an opponent without killing them was rare here, almost unheard of. Meanwhile, Zara was locked in a duel with a spear-wielding female warrior whose strikes were faster than lightning. Their weapons clashed again and again, Zara's arms aching under the relentless speed. But when the spear came for her heart, Zara stepped aside and let its momentum carry the attacker forward. Delivering a sharp strike to her back with the flat of her blade, the crowd cheered. At the precisions, some even shouted her name. Jack fought his way toward her, knocking aside another attacker. The hounds regrouped, snarling but now cautious, as if they too understood these two were not typical prey. Then, without warning, the blue-skinned elder Varric stood from his high seat, his voice cut through the noise. "Enough of this slow game, end it." The warriors hesitated only for a moment before rushing in all at once. It was a wall of steel and muscle, 5 armed fighters moving in perfect sync. The hounds lunged alongside them, the arena floor trembling under the impact. Jack and Zara had no time to speak. They moved purely on instinct. Jack caught the arm of one warrior, Using his weight to swing him into another, Zara ducked under a strike, sliding low and kicking a third warrior's knee hard enough to drop him. The crowd erupted. The fight had gone from a trial to a spectacle, but Jack knew they couldn't keep this pace until sunset. His arms felt like lead, his breathing ragged. Zara's steps had grown heavier too, her golden eyes still fierce but shadowed with fatigue. Then it happened. One of the hounds broke through Jack's defense, slammed into him, knocking him onto his back, teeth snapping inches from his throat. The crowd roared for the kill. Before the beast could bite down, Zara was there. She grabbed its neck from the side, using her entire body to pull it off him. The hound twisted, snapping at her arm, but she didn't let go. Jack rolled to his knees and drove the blunt end of his spear into its side. It yelped and staggered away, limping. Jack met her gaze again, breathing hard. "You okay?" he asked. She gave a short nod. "We keep moving." They stood back to back, a wall of determination in the center of the arena, and something strange began to happen. The noise from the crowd shifted. There were cheers now, not just for blood, but for them. Even some of the warriors hesitated, their eyes darting to each other as if unsure whether to press the attack. The hounds circled but didn't lunge. Sensing the shift in momentum, Zara's voice was low but steady. "There." Starting to question. "Not just you, but me." Jack grinned despite the sweat dripping into his eyes. "Good. Let's make them question harder." But high above, Elder Varric's expression darkened. He leaned toward another elder, his voice sharp. "If they last until sunset, the crowd will side with them. We cannot allow that." In the shadows behind the arena gates, a sixth warrior, one not part of the original hunt, tightened his grip on a hidden blade. His orders were clear. This fight would not end in victory for the human and the alien. "Girl," the sun hung low, spilling gold and crimson light across the arena. The shadows of the high walls stretched long, crawling toward Jack and Zara as they stood back to back. Every breath burned in their lungs, every muscle screamed with exhaustion. But they were still standing. The five warriors had slowed now, their attacks measured, their eyes flicking too. The crowd, even the hounds, paced at a distance, their growls low but uncertain. It was as if the entire arena was waiting, watching to see if these two would defy tradition until the very last heartbeat of the day. Jack's eyes darted to the horizon just a little longer. Zara's grip tightened on her blade, her golden eyes fierce. "They're hesitating," she murmured. "We've made them doubt." But above them, Elder Varric rose from his seat, his face a mask of cold fury. He leaned forward, his voice carrying just enough to reach the shadows near the gate and it. Now, from the darkness beyond the arena's entrance, the sixth warrior stepped out. He was unlike the others, heavily armored in blackened steel, his face hidden behind a mask shaped like a snarling beast. In his hand was a long, curved blade that shimmered faintly with some oily, unnatural sheen. The crowd murmured in confusion. "This isn't part of the hunt," someone whispered, but no elder moved to stop it. Jack saw him first, emerging slowly, deliberately. "That doesn't look like one of the original five," Jack said under his breath. Zara's eyes narrowed. "He isn't. This is no trial anymore, Jack. This is an execution." The sixth warrior moved fast, faster than any of the others. In a heartbeat, he was on them, his blade flashing toward Jack's side. Jack twisted, the strike grazing his chest guard, but the force sent him stumbling back. Zara stepped in, parrying the next blow, the clash of steel ringing sharp. The masked warrior's strength was overwhelming. Every strike made her arms shudder. Jack recovered and came at him from the side, swinging his broken spear like a staff. The warrior blocked with a single motion, shoving Jack back again. "This isn't fair." Jack grunted. "It never was." Zara replied, teeth gritted. The crowd was shifting now, confusion turning into anger. Some were shouting for the fight to stop, others calling for blood. The original 5 warriors stood aside, watching but not intervening. Even the hounds lingered near the edges. No longer. Part of the Elder's game, the 6th warrior pressed harder. His strikes aimed not to test, but to kill. Jack barely deflected a downward slash that would have split him open. Zara darted in low, her blade cutting across the warrior's leg. It didn't slow him much, but it was enough for Jack to land a heavy blow to his side with the spear. For the first time, the warrior staggered. A few in the crowd cheered, the sound growing louder as they saw the impossible might actually fall. But Varric's voice thundered from above, "End them." With a sudden surge, the masked warrior slammed into Jack, knocking him flat on the sand. His blade rose high, catching the last light of the setting sun. Zara's heart leapt. She didn't think. She just moved. Her body collided with the warrior's side, shoving him off balance. The blade came down, but instead of Jack, it scraped against her shoulder armor, cutting deep into the leather. Jack rolled away and grabbed the fallen axe from earlier. With a shout, he swung it in a wide arc, knocking the warrior's weapon from his hand. The crowd roared. Zara stepped forward, kicking the masked figure hard enough to send him to one knee. The sun touched the horizon, its last rays spilling. Over the arena, the horns sounded long and loud. The hunt was over, but the 6th warrior rose again, ignoring the horn, his hand reaching for a hidden dagger. Jack saw the glint of metal and moved without hesitation. He drove his shoulder into the warrior, slamming him against the arena wall. The dagger clattering to the ground. The crowd erupted into chaos, cheers, shouts, calls for justice. Zara's voice cut through it all. This was not a trial, she shouted toward the Elder's stand. It was an assassination. Her words rippled through the crowd like fire through dry grass. People were standing now, pointing at the Elders, demanding answers. Even some warriors dropped their weapons. Unwilling to be part of the farce, Elder Varric's face was stone, but his eyes burned with fury. "You think you've won, human? You've only begun your war with us." Jack stepped forward, his voice steady despite the exhaustion. "I didn't come here to start a war," he said. "I came here to prove there's another way, one where strength doesn't mean killing. The ones you care about." Zara stood beside him, lifting her chin. "And I stand with him," she declared. "If that makes me an enemy of the old ways, so be it." The crowd roared, not for the Elders, but for the two standing in the center of the arena. The hunt had ended, but something far greater had begun. As the last light faded and night took hold, Jack looked at Zara and managed a tired grin. "Guess humans really don't eat their mates after all?" Zara's golden eyes softened, and for the first time, she didn't look horrified. She looked hopeful.